Oh my god. Hi. Hello everyone, and welcome to, is it Saturday? It's Saturday? Yeah, of course it's Saturday. Haha! We did game night. I'll talk about that in a second. It has been a wildly busy 3 days. As a reminder, we are going to Denver next week, and have to prepare content, and since Fallout isn't ready, we really only have 2 series right now, which means we need extra content to cover those holes from the lack of a 3rd series. So 2 days ago, I spent a lot of time recording Bioshock 2, Minerva's Den. Yesterday, Mal and I recorded a great deal of Resident Evil 6, and then today I had to record a good bit of Morning Mario, 2 weeks of Morning Mario, to make sure that all of that was covered. And that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to do in 3 days. But there was a nicety of today, and that was that we got to go have dinner with my parents. We went out somewhere, and the food was absolutely excellent. I mean, it was just stupendous. We had some pasta. Mao had lasagna, and I had spaghetti, and I was a little jealous of hers, to be honest. But it was a little weird because we haven't. I'm not going to name the place we went, but we haven't been to this place in a while. It's been a little bit, and when we walked in, the girl at the front, the hostess, said, "Do you have reservations?" And we all just kind of looked at each other like, "What?" Because, like, no offense to this place, but this isn't really a place that you have ever needed reservations. It was kind of odd to be asked that. And the place was, like, pretty busy, but there was, several tables open. It was a smaller place. And we said, no, we don't have a reservation. And the girl immediately was like, okay, And we're just all looking at each other and looking at her like, what? And she's like, hold on a sec. So she, like, goes over to some papers and, like, is looking over some papers, and she goes, yeah, I guess I can give you a table. It'll be fine. And I'm thinking, all these things that you're saying, don't say them out loud. If there's some sort of weird problem for us to be, like, if we can't be there, then that's one thing. Just say, hey, it's strictly reservations or something like that. But don't say all of these things out loud with your mouth, because they go into my ears. That makes it weird for me as a patron to your business. Anyway, she sat us, and she acted a little weird for, like, the first half of the meal. Like, she was a little upset that we were there, which was confusing to me because, from that point forward, I was, like, super looking around about, like, how many tables and stuff were open, and, like, the tables didn't fill up at all, and we were there until, close to closing, so I wasn't really sure what that was about. But reservation restaurants are not my jam. I like to just go eat, and this place must have changed, pretty drastically, because it never used to be like that, which is kind of weird. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced a restaurant transformation like that. I know occasionally different places will change their menus up. I've noticed there's been a few places over the years that, like, they try to become a little more, I guess, high class. They raise their prices or whatever. But this place that was a big change. Their menu seemed mostly the same. The prices still seemed reasonable, but they were like, do you have reservations? I'm like, why do I need them here? What the heck happened? Anyway, a few other stories, because I've got all these fun stories now. Yesterday, we spent a great deal of time playing Resident Evil 6. I mentioned that already. And I was curious if that would affect either of our dreams at all. It did not affect Mal's. Mal didn't have any dreams. I had a dream, though. I thought I would share it with you, because I find it funny. And it definitely was inspired by Resident Evil 6. I took in all of that media, before bed. All those monsters and things. And I gotta tell you, the dream that I had was not a nightmare. It's not. I feel like a nightmare, very specifically, you have to feel, fear or, be anxious or something like that. And that wasn't really the emotion that I had. It wasn't scary. I was in a mansion, like a big, beautiful mansion. And I mean, it was a beautiful mansion. It was in the middle of the day. It was well lit. It wasn't like, haunted house type thing, or a mansion, a horror mansion that you'd see on Resident Evil. It was like bright, nice, whatever. But there was this big, grotesque monster. Not anything I identified from Resident Evil games, but definitely inspired by, an amalgamation of stuff in my head. And it was like this hideous, big, huge monster with, scary looking thing. And it was wandering around through this house. And I was in the house, and as far as I knew, I was the only person in the house. And I was like, I've got to get out of this house. And I remember looking at the door, the front door, and thinking, I really got to get out of this house, because this monster's here and that's bad. But I'm also hungry. And I wasn't like terribly scared of the monster. Like, I knew it was bad. Like, I should definitely not let that monster know I'm here. But for whatever reason, I just really was like, I need to get something to eat. So instead of going to the door, I snuck into the kitchen. And I reached into the cabinet, and there was one of those like big milk carton things of goldfish, like the kind that are really, really big. And then instead of just taking the carton of goldfish with me, I proceed to find a Ziploc baggie in the cabinet and slowly pour these goldfish into a Ziploc baggie. Now, why I did this, I have no idea. That seems like a pretty stupid thing to do when you're hiding from a monster, but I remember being crouched down behind an island and pouring goldfish into this bag. Anyway, so I finally filled my little baggie up with goldfish, and I decided it was time to head towards the door. As I'm going towards the door, I realize that the monster is over there and I can't get out, so I crawl up into this weird little, like, shelf alcove thing that's near the front door. So I'm sitting there, and I'm watching this monster walk around, and I'm like, well, I can't get out right now. I might as well enjoy these goldfish. So I'm sitting up there, just eating goldfish out of this Ziploc bag. And then, at some point, I'm not in my body. I'm in the body of Thomas. And I don't think I saw Thomas. Maybe I did, but I just knew I was Thomas. And Thomas was in the house. And Thomas started in the living room, like where I had started the dream. And he came around the corner, and I was looking through the world as him. And I looked up and I saw myself up on that alcove eating goldfish out of a Ziploc bag. And then the monster started to come towards Thomas, who was me, I guess. And Thomas was like, ah! And then I woke up, and I had to pee. So, yeah, there was, I'm glad it wasn't like a scary nightmare, but I mean, Resident Evil's not very scary, but your brain can do weird stuff. It could just see a grotesque monster that you may not find frightening and then store it away for later and be like, at night I'll make that scary. But instead, it was just kind of an inconvenience. The monster was wandering around, and things were annoying. I thought I would share. I don't remember dreams very often, so if I have one I do remember, especially if it's bizarre, I think it's worth sharing. Another thing, we recorded Stephen and Friends tonight, and we did 1,000 Blank White Cards as well as an episode of Broken Picturephone, and it's going to be episode 14 of Broken Picturephone. It is maybe the funniest one we have ever done. And I know that I say that a lot, but I also feel like it's true. But this one in particular it's just a really cool idea. And I'll go ahead and tell you the idea so you can be looking forward to it, because it's funny. Thomas had the idea to make the prompts that we start with the ends of previous books from previous episodes. So whenever you're watching us play Broken Picturephone, it's phrase, picture, whatever, and it goes down the line, and it gets convoluted and turns into something completely different. And the last thing is a phrase. So we went to different episodes, and we found phrases that we wanted to continue. So if you've watched the Broken Picturephone episodes, you're really going to like episode 14, because it literally continues where some of those books left off. And there's just a funny idea, and some of the content that we ended up making was just ridiculous. Anyway, I guess that's all I have to say. Kind of rambled a little bit, but yeah, I had a lot to talk about, and there was quite a few things I wanted to mention. Again, these past few days have been a little nuts, but it's going to start winding down. We leave on Wednesday. I've got a majority of everything I need for Stephen Plays recorded now. The only thing I need to do is take care of some first 20s, and then just start scheduling everything. And that is a process in and of itself, but I should be able to get all that done easily before we leave. I say it every once in a while, but I say it again here. Thank God for Dan. Him tackling some of the stuff that he's working on right now, it's a lifesaver. It really is. And it also allows me to turn my attention to other things that desperately need my attention. So I'm going to be working on stuff. And we'll get everything ready. And then Wednesday, we'll be able to Denver. I gotta get some sleep. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?